Good morning, everyone. Anthony, Wall Street Trader, 10:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, November 10th, 2021. This isn't financial advice, it's educational. Click the subscribe and the bell to be notified when these videos come out, as well as thumbs up. Share the video with your friends and colleagues. We're talking about Nucypher and Keep. Twitter.com link below. Nucypher US dollar. Floor of support right now is starting to look more like 89 cents versus this 88 cents. But I have it here still because this could be a point where we do pull back if we pull back. Now, we also have a reasonable area of resistance around 96 cents. So we're kind of tight between 89 and 96, 95, 96 in that range right here. But we have a more stronger line of resistance that goes back considerably to the $1 range on Nucypher. Now, Nucypher Bitcoin, we've been talking about this yesterday around this downward wedge, which is sort of bullish. We did start pulling up pretty nicely up to 1380, 1379, 1380. Yesterday we were at 1335. Well, what happened was around 8:30 we had a nasty inflation report on the CPI, which is an index here tracked in the US, showing that we have a very high amount of inflation. It's really 30 years it's a 30-year high in terms of the rate of inflation this year. So big problems in terms of inflation, helping Bitcoin surge. Now, Nucypher over Bitcoin means that it's the amount of Nucypher you can get per Bitcoin. Since Bitcoin rose so rapidly since that inflation report, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time today, the denominator on the Nucypher over Bitcoin pair grew dramatically. The numerator, which is Nucypher, didn't grow as much because it's not really tied to inflation like Bitcoin is. So obviously, when you have a denominator growing faster than a numerator, you're going to see that overall number and ratio in decimal form come down. And that's exactly what happened here. We went from 1371 all the way down to 1326 on the back of that 8:30 a.m. inflation announcement this morning. So that's something to keep in mind. Now let's go over to Keep, speaking of keeping stuff in mind. But Nucypher Bitcoin, just right now, as it stands, we have a floor of support around 1323, as well as a temporary resistance line at 1353. And we're going to continue to monitor this right here. Keep US dollar also looking like firm floor of support at 69 cents, as high as 79 cents. We might have some resistance right around here at 73. I'm not really worried about this. We're still kind of trading sideways as we were yesterday. Yesterday we were at 71.45, so no real change there. In terms of resistance, we did hit, again, every altcoin to Bitcoin pair got impacted as a result of that inflation report. So Bitcoin, again, the denominator grows fast, the numerator kind of stays there, and the overall pair in decimal form goes down. And that's what happened. We went from 1074 on that inflation report all the way down to 1031, several percentage points. We then pulled back up. So we do have a pretty decent line of support here for the Keep Bitcoin pair. Now let's look at Bitcoin, what happened. So clearly this giant candlestick that went from all the way down here to 66,000 all the way up to as high as 69,000. That was a 5% move in a very, very short period of time, all having to do with this article and this announcement. At 8:30 a.m. today, we found that inflation, or the CPI index, surged 6.2% year over year, the biggest jump in 30 years. Some of you weren't even born 30 years ago. So this is exactly kind of what you have to worry about. Now, typically when you see inflation, people flock to gold. But now we're starting to see a lot of people flocking to Bitcoin. I have not checked the gold market. I don't know how they did. But gold really doesn't have a fixed supply like Bitcoin does. You have gold miners picking gold out of the ground all the time. We don't really know how much gold is truly left because we just can't see it. Whereas Bitcoin, we can all clearly see the algorithm. We know where we're headed. We know we have a finite supply. And that's kind of like why I think people are flocking more to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is the hedge to inflation, as we can see right here. At 8:30 a.m., where my cursor is positioned, we jumped up, and we're starting to go up even more. So I'm starting to think we're back to bullish again with Bitcoin, disqualifying this bearish broadening wedge. Kind of started coming down to 66. It looked like we were going to come down pretty quickly to 63. But that inflation report is a macro event, and sometimes all you need is a macro event to change the position and trajectory of price action. And that's what's happening here. In the meantime, Bitcoin dominance also, you can see a lot of fresh capital. Fear of inflation was good for Bitcoin, and overall good for the crypto market as far as I'm concerned. You started to see a giant rise on 43.55 all the way up to 40, almost 44, almost a 0.5% on Bitcoin dominance, which is a pretty big gain. So a lot of money coming into the Bitcoin market. Clearly, new fresh capital there, hitting $1 trillion and potentially more on the back of that. In the meantime, that's all we've got right now. Nucypher US dollar at 91.54. Keep US dollar at 71.58, and we will keep in touch on Twitter. Take care.